Early and colonial Mexico. Early civilizations in Mexico were able to take great advantage of the resources available to them. These societies developed complex farming techniques. Through studying the stars and planets, they were able to develop very accurate calendars. Spanish conquerors arrived in the 1500s, bringing disease that killed many native people. Many native Mexicans were forced into slavery and poverty. The struggles of these early years continued into the 1900s. Civilization grows. The first people to live in what is now Mexico settled in the area thousands of years ago. They survived by hunting animals and gathering plants. About 7,000 years ago, native peoples first began growing a wild grass called maize or corn. This step marked the beginning of agriculture in the Americas. Over time, native peoples added other crops, including beans, squash, and chili peppers. As they produced more food, their population grew, and they formed larger communities. The Olmecs. Around 1500 BC, the Olmec civilization arose along Mexico's Gulf Coast near Tabasco and Veracruz. The Olmecs developed a complex political system, a religion, and a system of writing. Olmec writing used hieroglyphics, in which symbols stand for words. The Olmecs also developed a calendar. The Olmecs traded with nearby peoples. Through this trade, the Olmecs influenced Native American cultures that came later. Maya civilization. The Maya followed the Olmecs as the leading native culture in the region. The Maya lived in what are now southern Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. They built several dozen cities with thousands of people. These cities had pyramid-shaped temples of stone decorated with sculpture. The Maya also recorded the histories of their rulers. The Maya excelled at astronomy, the study of the stars and planets. They used their learning to construct several calendar systems that worked together to guide their farmers and to plan religious ceremonies. Maya civilization declined around AD 900. Still, Maya cities continued in the Yucatan Peninsula. Thousands of Mayas still live in Mexico today. The rise of the Aztecs. In the 1400s, a new power, the Aztecs, arose in Mexico. The Aztecs settled in the Valley of Mexico, where Mexico City now is, in the 1300s. They built their capital, Tenochtitlan, on an island in the middle of a lake. With 150,000 people, the city was the largest ever built by Native Americans. In fact, it was one of the largest cities in the world at the time. It had advanced engineering and a complex economy. Aztecs were skilled farmers who grew corn, squash, beans, and other foods. The Aztecs were also excellent engineers. They built aqueducts or channels that carried water to their capital and canals to make transportation easier. The Aztecs also had a strong army. After 1500 AD, they had conquered and controlled 5 million people or more. The arrival of Cortez. In the late 1400s, explorers from Spain sailed to the Americas and began building colonies. The Spanish heard stories of a people, the Aztecs, who had large cities and vast amounts of gold and silver. The Spanish set out to find these people, leading to an encounter that changed the history of Mexico. In 1519, Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés landed in Mexico. A conquistador is a soldier explorer. The Aztecs greatly outnumbered Cortés and his 500 soldiers. Yet in just 2 years, Cortés defeated the Aztec Empire. Tens of thousands of Aztecs and their subjects died in the fighting. Cortez destroyed Tenochtitlan and built Mexico City in its place. Culture change. Under the Spanish, the lives of native people changed. Settlers from Spain and their descendants held the highest place in society. Native peoples had few rights. Priests came to Mexico to convert Native Americans to Roman Catholic religion. The church became an important part of life in the new colony. Churches were built in the centers of towns and cities, and church officials became leaders in the colony. Spain struggles. By the 1700s, Spain's empire had weakened. Spain's rulers decided to change the political and economic system to improve conditions in Mexico. They made new laws that led to increased trade. As Mexico's economy revived, Spain raised taxes and sent new officials to rule Mexico. While Spain tried to improve Mexico, new ideas swept across Europe and the Americas. A movement called the Enlightenment questioned the rule of kings and proposed that people had basic rights, rights that many in Mexico did not enjoy. People in North America acted on these ideas and declared independence from Great Britain. Their founding of the United States stood as an example to Spain's colonies. Separating from Spain. Early in the 1800s, the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Spain. He named his brother Spain's new king. The French put a new person in control who briefly ruled Mexico. In 1810, Mexicans launched a revolt that ended in 1821 with Mexico winning independence from Spain.